Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is George Smith, and tonight we bring you Raceface Round 4 at Kyalami in the GT4 class. I wasn't with you guys last week. I was fighting a sickness. I'm still a little bit under the weather, but slowly getting myself back up to where I was before. And joining me today and helping me out, because to be honest, I would not be able to do this alone, will be my good friend Ryan Gill. Ryan, how are you doing?
Doing great, George. Thank you very much for asking. It's nice to be back in the commentary box with you. I missed being able to do another GT4 commentary. I enjoyed the one we did at Brands Hatch so much, and it was a shame that we couldn't commentate at Pisano. But it's good to know that you're back feeling better, and hopefully we'll have a very good race tonight.
Oh yeah, I mean for me being back at Kyalami wouldn't I couldn't have picked a better circuit really to be back to. So for me a bit exciting, and of course being over in the nighttime for quali, that's a little bit of a spanner in the works. Not too many times that we head over to Kyalami in the nighttime here. It is a circuit that us South Africans have pretty much abused for a long time, but nighttime race is not something that we get to feature. So I'm hoping that the actual race is in the nighttime as well. I've been a little bit bad with my research, so I had no idea that we were coming here in the evening, Ryan.
It's something that was kind of caught unexpected, on my part for sure. But of course, I mean, if anyone's ever seen or heard me do commentary before, I love a night race, and I'm going to be looking forward to this so much.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think one of the things that ACC does quite spectacularly is the night lighting situational sort of ambiance that's out there. I love the way that the headlights illuminate out onto the circuits, and a track like Kyalami, there's not a lot of circuit lighting for the drivers, so they find themselves in a bit of a difficult scenario here tonight if they haven't adapted themselves and learnt the braking points and things in the darkness. I absolutely love it. I couldn't have asked for something better, honestly.
Yeah, night racing's always it's always such a spectacle, and to see it done in the way it is in ACC, it feels like a real treat, to be honest. So I can't really compare it to any other sim, to be honest, and that's not discrediting other sims because they've done night very well, but I think for me at least ACC takes the cake with the lighting.
For me, it's up there with the very best. It's most certainly without having to, throw mods into it and that kind of thing. Just a standard base package. It looks great at night, and I can't wait to see what we've got. And of course, enough of the waffle. We are jumping straight over. We are in the qualifying session at the moment. We've got a 15-minute quali ahead of our 45-minute race, and due to us having a stream crash before we went live with things, it was a bit of a panic to get back up here. So a lot of the drivers have been out and been able to set a couple of laps on the circuit. So with 10 minutes to go, it gives us a good indication of where guys are sitting at the moment. Of course, Jordan Sherritt sitting up at the top with a 149.068. Morgan McCall in second place. He's actually just got himself up there with a 149.392. So 3/10 off the pace of what Jordan's doing at the moment. And then JC Grobler just behind, sitting in third at the moment. Good to see JC Grobler sitting up there with a 149.659. Keegan Masters with a 149.7. Junior McCall in fifth with a 149.8. Bruno sitting in sixth with the 149.818. So 3,000 behind Junior McCall. Jason Absmeyer, 149.833. So 200ths off of Bruno in seventh. Eighth for Johannes Grayling with a 150.022. And Quade Claessens with a 150.055. Mark Antal rounding out the top 10 with a 150.1. So these guys giving us a good showdown at the moment, at least all the way down to ninth place within a second of each other. So that's good to see. As 8 minutes of quali come in, the guys are getting themselves nice and bunched up together.
Yeah, qualifying looking so good here at the moment for quite a few of these guys, and like you said, Jordan Sherritt at the top, followed by Morgan McCall at the moment in second place, and obviously, if I have a look over towards the championship standings, they are the two protagonists of the championship at the moment, George.
Yeah, Morgan leads things away with 62 championship points. At the moment, it's to me, it's Jordan Sherritt. He hasn't had all the luck in the world, and he really seems to have got his internet problems sorted out. So for him, he's out here to show some dominance and, potentially there to upset the running order in the championship standings. Bruno in the third place, Bruno Kedili, of course, fourth for JC Grobler in the standings, Charles Wilkin in fifth, Christos Besson in sixth. So, the drivers that we see kind of in the qualifying positions at the moment doing decently out on the board. Of course, the likes of Keegan Masters, a real-life GTC driver, he currently isn't on the leaderboard, or is he towards the bottom of it? I think he may have joined in maybe even his first race here at Kyalami, but I don't remember. Did we see Keegan Masters previously? I'm not 100% sure. I get so confused with all the GT3 and GT4 things that I'm doing. I don't see him on the leaderboard at the moment, which potentially means that he hasn't managed to finish one of the races, or it would be his first time here. But nonetheless,
he's 19th in the championship, 13 points.
Okay, there
we an appearance at round 1.
Okay, so then we haven't seen him for the last 2 weeks, and of course last week we weren't here bringing you the action from Misano's. So good to see Keegan Masters out here. This man gives some phenomenal racing out on track, I can tell you that. When it comes down to racecraft from a real-life driver, this man has been showing some real out of the top of the shelf stuff, should I say. Just incredible to watch the man drive, and I'm excited to see what he brings to the table, of course. But 6 minutes left to go. Jason Absmeyer has jumped himself up to third place on the starting grid so far. Still 4/10 off the likes of Jordan Sherritt. And Morgan McCall also struggling to give a bit of an answer up to our pole sitter.
Yeah, 3.5 tenths of a second at the moment separate pole position and second place. Jordan Sherritt really showing his stuff at the moment. And, well, two Mercedes on the front row at the moment. Looking at Jason Absmeyer as well. He's in the Ginetta in third right now. And it's nice to see the Ginettas up there. Of course, Bruno Kedili also rocking the Ginetta tonight, as he's just been dropped down to 7th. I think it's Quaid Clarson's just improving his lap time. And that bumped Bruno Kedili down into 7th place. Looking down the grid, though, we do have a Chevrolet on the grid down in 15th at the moment in qualifying. And, of course, the highest of the Porsches is in 9th, just inside the top 10.
Yeah, it's not been a real Porsche dominant season, which upsets me because I'm a big GT3 Porsche fan, but the Cayman's not really bringing too many answers. Good to see Daniel Rowe representing. He like me is a bit of a Porsche fan. I know in his GT3 car pick he's also a Porsche driver, so he's staying loyal. He's gone over with the Cayman. He seems to have found himself a bit of rhythm as well in the top 10, just behind the likes of Junior McCall, Bruno Kedili, Keegan Masters, names that are respectable to be behind, and still within that second split from what Jordan Sherritt's done, which also a little bit of an alien-like time coming out from Jordan up at the top. It makes things difficult to really gauge, but he's 3/10 faster than the quickest guy to rival him, which is already something that, coming into the race, if you can find that kind of pace, even in 45 minutes, it's enough to get yourself away. So I'm really keen to see what we're going to see in the mid-pack. And, of course, if the likes of Jordan Sherritt can manage to, get it to the end of the line cleanly without incidents.
Yeah, without incident is one of the key words, isn't it? Because we've seen... I mean, it was at Brands Hatch when I joined you for the second round of the championship. Brands Hatch being the kind of track which it depends on, mistakes. If you make mistakes, if, you have accidents, you're going to find yourself well down the order. And a couple of people did find themselves well out of position at the end of that race. And, Kyalami it's not the same type of circuit as Brands Hatch. It's very different to Brands Hatch. And, you know, there are a lot of overtaking opportunities here, but I tell you what, there are still plenty of corners around here that can punish you hard. And one of them that we're definitely going to have to talk about at some point is my favourite corner on the track, and it's got to be turn 15 Cheetah. That inside anti-cut curve, the amount of drivers I have seen had races ended in broadcasts, unbelievable. And that applies to both GT3, GT4, Porsche Cup, Super Trofeos. It does not matter. That corner has no mercy.
It does not indeed. And I think, you know, maybe tonight it might be a little bit different. I'm not quite sure how the GT4s handle them, but like you've said, it's been a bit of a terminal corner for a lot of the car classes to come out here. Morgan McCall does go a little bit quicker, finds another 10th on his previous best lap time, does a 149.311, still sits 2.8 tenths off the pace of Jordan Sherritt though, and it's not the answer that McCall was looking for, but at the same time, a long race, you know, 45 minutes ahead. I say long, but it's long in a GT4 car. You know, that sprint race is grueling considering how close the battles are on track for the entire duration. So yeah, it's one thing to set a quick quali time. It's another thing to have some consistency out on track, and I think that's what everybody's going to be bringing us. Going down the order, I just want to have a little run through of some of the cars. We've got Mark Antle down in 11th place from Retro Slipstream. He's not been able to Retro Sim Slipstream. Sorry, my voice and my words tonight are going to be something spectacular. Sight to behold. Good to see Mark Antle just outside the top 10. Corne Strauss from EKZ just sitting in 12th place at the moment. Kurt Glashigan down in 13th from Ground Zero Racing. Adrian De Beer in the pits at the moment in 14th. Richard van Koller from Sandbag Racing also out in the pits. Arno Versace, a man that I thought would be a little bit higher up the order and is potentially going to do so. He's 6/10ths up on his time, sitting in 17th place at the moment. So I'm going to stay with Arno, make sure we see where he comes out of this. But an incredibly talented young driver as well. His ability to hot lap, Ryan, is you know, second to none. He can grind out where he needs to, and he's really dialed in his consistency. So I'm excited to see what this man continues to bring to sim racing as the you know, the leagues continue and things like that. But by no uncertain means a new face here. He's been here for absolutely ages, but definitely strange to see him down the order like he is at the moment. The same with the likes of Victor de Kock, also incredibly quick drivers. Arno will better his lap time, 150.190, gets himself up to 12th place, and will allow me to just run down through some of our other drivers. Johan Bego Grobler, of course, from Team Tryhard Racing. They are, of course, also sponsored by the sponsor that sponsors this stream, of course, Resource Complete. So big shout out to them, sponsoring teams, sponsoring the events. That's what we like to see. Darren Pience, he is sitting in 18th place at the moment. Victor de Kock in 19th, representing his own team, VK Motorsport. Sean Schutter, another EKZ driver out on track in 20th place, currently not up on his lap time. Nathan LaRue in 21st, Stuart Andrews in 22nd, Ryan Ottens in 23rd from Kaike Racing, Stephen Tablanche sitting in 24th place, Mornay Duploy in 25th, and in 26th, having not yet set a qualifying lap time, Charles Wilkin. And that, I'm not 100% sure of where those have come from. It could be due to stewarding sides or the fact that he's just not setting a lap time. I have absolutely no idea. But Charles Wilkin, someone to definitely watch out for as well. If he is starting up at the back of the grid, you can most certainly expect a lot of cutting through the order. So Ryan, qualifying going to come to an end. Sherritt, McCall, Masters, Absmeyer, Claessens, Grobler, Kadili, McCall, Rowe, and Grayling are top 10. And I cannot wait for the next 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's going to be good, that's for sure. I mean, I've been, you know, really glad to join you for some of the South African races, to learn some of these names, and obviously a couple of these guys making their way over to some of the more international races. So I definitely look forward to seeing as many people as you can throw our way, and it's always nice to come down here and see it. But yeah, Jordan Sherratt, Morgan McCall, Keegan Masters, Absmeyer, Clarkson, so many high quality names at the top of the order. But at the end of qualifying, it is going to be Jordan Sherratt that takes pole position over Morgan McCall. So the two championship protagonists on the front row of the grid. And as we move towards the race session now, we have just over a minute until the formation lap begins for the race here tonight.
We do indeed. I am just reconnecting on my end, like I've alluded to, having some internet issues and struggling for connectivity. So just trying to get myself back into that broadcasting session for the moment. Hopefully you guys can bear with me. We have Ryan will give us some lovely radio commentary whilst we look at my multiplayer lobby loading screen.
That's a lovely Porsche you have there on selection for the GT4 class, George. But to go back to what's going on at the moment, 35 seconds left on the clock before the formation lap begins. A lot of these guys going to be sorting out their fuel, adjusting pressures as they believe are necessary, and of course just making any last minute, fine-tuning elements to their setup if they think they need any. But of course some people are going to be confident enough to go from the get-go. They're just going to make sure they have enough fuel to the end of the race. Of course, no mandatory pit stop required for this race. So you can see all the green bars on the side of the table. And as the session hits 0 on the timer for pre-race waiting time, we are going to be starting the formation lap very, very soon here at Kyalami. And in fact, I can just see Jordan Sherratt pulling away as we speak. And actually, oh dear, it's not Jordan Sherratt actually pulling away first. It's Morgan McCall, because I think Jordan Sherratt has disconnected from the server, George.
Yeah, I think Jordan Sherratt and myself are having very similar issues at the moment in trying to stay in the server. I've been disconnected 3 times just trying to get over to the start of the grid. So things are not looking good for some drivers. I see a couple of drivers sitting in the pits. I've been disconnected from it again on my end, to be honest, and I have absolutely no idea what is going on with the servers at the moment. Let me throw up a be right back screen and we'll try and get this sorted. Guys, we'll see you in a jiffy. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are back and we have restarted the servers, something that we are afforded the luxury of in sim racing as opposed to real life racing. So when things go catastrophically wrong, we can just reboot everything. So hopefully now we don't have connectivity issues. We don't see drivers dropping out. We don't see myself being unable to bring the action. And it means that we are now back. We've reloaded in the qualifying positions. Drivers will be starting in the positions that they still qualified in. So no need to redo quali, which is absolutely great. And right, I still have you with me. That is the most important thing now.
Oh, that's very kind of you, George. But no, yeah, it's great that we've been able to preserve the grid. Obviously, you know, after having done qualifying, no one wants to have to go back through and redo qualifying. Everyone ends up in different places again. So, yeah, it's good that you know, we can get the order back in, and well, we're just about under 30 seconds away from the start of the formation lap. You see all the cars turning their lights on now, as we'll be getting ready for what will hopefully be the actual start of this race.
Yes, indeed. Hopefully it is live. Ryan, I'm going to move us into a new commentary box. I've prepared something a little bit nicer with a nicer couch for us to observe the action, of course. So give me a second to get you over there. And at the same time, I'm hoping that the same couch now gives us the availability to have the same view that you had from the other comms box. Just let me know if it does.
Ooh, it's very nice in here actually, George. Yep, everything looks very nice. Is that the same sofa from the RCI commentary box?
It is indeed. I've brought it over just especially for you. Painted it in the colors, of course, to bring the race face action. We like to, you know, share in the community work, and of course, lots of our South African drivers going over and competing in the Racing Club international events, which makes me happy. More South Africans doing international events, more internationals coming and doing South African events. I believe tomorrow night in the GT3 League, we're going to have Darren King joining us again. Sherritt and him had an insane battle last week at Misano, which I'm very sad that I missed. So yeah, bringing everybody together. We're out on our formation lap. Finally, everything has come back together. And I couldn't be more stoked for us to be able to still bring the race action. I had a little sinking feeling in my stomach that perhaps we're not going to see our GT4s racing at Kyalami tonight. And that's all disappeared now, and hopefully we'll stay like this for the next 45 minutes.
Yeah, hopefully we can actually get the race started this time round, and I have to say, Jordan Sherritt is wasting no time in getting around the track for his warm-up lap, is he? He's trying to hurry up the field. Got to get a move on, guys. We're starting late, and you know, one of the things you have to consider with these cars, obviously, it's something worth mentioning because a lot of people still maybe don't know, is that compared to GT3 cars, you don't get tyre warmers on these cars before a race. They start stone cold. So, of course, your warm-up lap in GT4 is so much more important than in GT3. And that's one of the things you'll kind of be seeing here today. The guys weaving a lot more now to get heat into those tyres and make sure they're at the optimal temperature before the start of the race.
That's actually an interesting point. I mean, the fact that there's no tyre warmers means that the outlap is critical, and we do know that you don't really get the tyres and the brakes up to where they need to be just out doing your normal formation laps. So it is it is one of those things as Jordan Sherritt bunches up the pack towards the end of Crocodile. 2x2 they start to form up, and we hopefully are going to be live with some racing in the next couple of minutes. Looks like our entry list seems to have sorted itself out okay. I'm not quite sure if I had the photographic memory to make sure that all these cars are in their right positions, but from a layman's point of view, it looks like things have gone okay. I was having mild panic attacks and couldn't confirm it, but as they roll down towards Ingwe at the slowest they will, and the closest they will, it's a start-finish straight, and Jordan Sherritt it seems like he's he's disconnected there on the starting grid, unfortunately. I saw his car floating off into the distance, and green lights will go out today, and we've lost a driver immediately out. McCall will then get the run down the line. Claessen's on the outside, and it will be Keegan Masters to tuck himself up as well. Just a whole bunch of drivers making their way down to T1, or T2 should I say. And oh, look at the sights in the night. Look at the lights going down. McCall, Masters, Claessen's are what we're reading on our timing sheets at this point in time. I think McCall does lead things away, and I think it is Masters in second place there, and it will be, that's a BMW in third position. Who's made himself up to third place there, Ryan? Do you have an update for me?
I think it's Grayling actually in the 16 BMW. In fact, yes it is. The timing boards, as they update, will confirm that, as Keegan Masters is looking to get past Morgan McCall here on the very first lap of the race. Of course, Jordan Sherratt unfortunately disconnecting right before we got underway for racing, but yeah, it definitely seems like Morgan McCall's going to have some troubles as we come up towards Leeuwkop at the highest point of the circuit. McCall's going to have to go on the defensive here. We're looking at Grayling at the moment. He's defending from Grobler in the Aston Martin as well. Goes a bit wide on the exit. And now as we plunge down through Mineshaft and towards the Crocodiles for the first time at full speed.
I mean, it feels like we've lost maybe a couple of drivers in our grid. So things not going 100% as smooth. The connectivity issues still being a little bit of an issue and plaguing things up, but for the drivers that we've still got out on the circuit here, it's absolute racing, and 43 minutes will be the move to go. Grobler on the inside there of Grayling will make the move stick. So JC Grobler with a nice bit of overtaking down into Ingwe at the end of the first lap will get himself up to third. So McCall, Masters, Grobler will be our top three. Junior McCall with a brilliant start coming up. He's made himself up to fifth place. Quade Claessen's in sixth. Jason Absma, I think, is at a disconnect along with Jordan Sherratt. And yeah, just a little bit of, I'm not quite sure how many drivers were affected in it, Ryan. It looks like only the two. Perhaps Mark Antol may have dropped down as well. I'm not sure. He's in the pit box at the moment, so it's quite hard to tell. But out in the field of racing at the moment, it looks to be that battle up towards that third position spot. Of course, Grayling trying to get it back off of the likes of Grobler. Grobler in that Aston Martin looking oh so squiggly on the exit of Clubhouse. That's going to benefit the BMW all day, every day, if the Aston Martin cannot get its rear end under control. And that will allow the likes of Junior McCall to also start to reel them in. So for now, JC Grobler will defend off Grayling.
Julian McCall's currently under pressure from Quade Claessen's though. The 124 Aston Martin in that lovely shiny red livery that he has there as they plunge down Mineshaft now towards the Crocodiles. And he's going to get closer and closer and closer. He's going to go towards the outside as they come into the Crocodiles. He's going to try for the switchback here. And now this is going to be so tricky. He's not going to be alongside as they'll come towards Cheetah. Thinks better of it. Tucks in behind. And ooh, just a bit of dust being kicked up from some of the cars ahead. And that's going to compromise McCall into Ingwe. And it's going to allow Claessen's to go on the outside line, the preferred line through the final corner. He's going to get a better drive down the front straight through the kink. And I think he's going to be ahead as they come in towards the second corner at Crowthorne. He's going to be on the outside line. Will he be able to make it stick? No, he backs off, thinks better of it. And it's still in fifth.
A big dive coming in, and these drivers just avoiding it. I'm going to try and get an action-packed replay. 30 seconds back. I should have gone 10 seconds. I was too excited, but we're going to go 30 seconds back with this. Somehow, I'm going to stay with the helicam view. Actually, we need to go on board with Junior McCall, on board with him, because this car comes shooting across. It was like the incident that happened in the MotoGP, Ryan, with Valentino Rossi. Comes around, look at this. Whoa! Absolutely. Wow. That would have been race ending for Junior McCall and potentially Quade Claessen's as well. So that was, I mean, I'm not even sure which BMW that was that went shooting down into turn 2 like that.
Yeah, I mean, oh my word. I mean, I think it was Visahi actually in the 94. He's all the way near the back at the moment. He's in, I think, 19th place. So I think it was Visahi's BMW. But yeah, I mean, you referenced the MotoGP crash with, it was Morbidelli and Johan Zarco that had come together. And of course, Valentino Rossi narrowly missed that accident. And, you know, very, very akin to that for sure. And yeah, that's got to be one of the closest near misses I've ever seen in sim racing, hands down.
Yeah, I think you are right. I think it was Arno Visaki down in 18th place. Doesn't look like that BMW got too much damage. The M4 maybe not coming into contact with the barrier, although it looked like he most certainly did. But yeah, just whoa, what an insanely near miss for the drivers to avoid, and so great that the battle will still continue. Quade Claessens still will chase down the likes of Junior McCall into the arena. Will step the likes of Strauss as well. He's got the likes of Darren Pearce behind him, putting on the pressure, and of course Charles Wilkin. I talked about Charles Wilkin, a driver that will make his way through the field incredibly quick. So just watch out for Charles Wilkin in 10th place now, 38 minutes of racing to still go, and potentially looking to redeem himself a little bit here, get a good finish coming out. So Charles Wilkin with a lot to prove, and most certainly make note of that lime green Aston Martin with the dabble of pink on it. He's going to be pressuring the likes of Pearce as we speak, so might be able to get a little rear facing cam here, Ryan.
Yeah, so we're on the back of Darren Pearce's car at the moment. You can see the Avantgarde Sim Racing Porsche, and of course he's being followed at the moment by Charles Wilkin in the Aston Martin AMR GT4, and he's going to go to the inside as they come up to Leocop at the top of the hill, and it looks like Wilkin's got that done nice and clean, not too difficult for him there. And as he gets that done, he'll now find himself looking forward towards the Mercedes of Corne Strauss, just about a second up the road.
He will indeed, and Corne Strauss in that number 55 Mercedes. I had it in my mind. Charles Wilkin's Aston Martin enters the shot, and the Jaws music begins to play. Big slide coming out from Wilkin on the exit of Crocodile there. Will potentially allow Pearce to have another little look-see if those mistakes come out. But Charles Wilkin most certainly will be on the attack. Will be looking for this Mercedes of Strauss. Up the field, of course, Junior McCall and Quade Claessens are still playing dice it out, and that will play into the hands of Daniel Rowe in that Cayman. Of course, doing a good job for the number 4 Cayman, get himself up the order. Top placing Porsche at the moment, and interestingly enough, we've got 2 Porsches in the top 10.
Yeah, good to see the Porsche Caymans doing well. Of course, they haven't really been doing well across the GT4 Championship that RCI have been running, and very much like the BMWs as well. And, I mean, Grayling at the moment, he's doing a fantastic job, actually, in the BMW, 4th place. And Visahi was doing quite a good job in the BMW until he, I mean, exit stage right. It's the only way you can say for that BMW. But, yeah, the rest of the guys definitely seem to be struggling around here. And it is one of the surprise packages, I think, of the GT4 pack so far in ACC, is that the BMW has not been as strong as it was probably hyped up to be and thought to be. But we're looking at Corne Strauss at the moment. He's in the Mercedes AMG GT4, being chased down by Charles Wilkin in the Aston Martin AMR GT4. Of course, both of these cars based off of their GT3 variants, just scaled down in terms of power and size. And it looks like Corne Strauss is going to go to the outside through the Crocodiles. He's going to give the inside line to Charles Wilkin. He's going to let him pass, indicating as well, tell him which way to pass him. And a very clean move there from Charles Wilkin. Didn't have to work too hard for it. But I'll appreciate the honesty from Corne Strauss to just say, yep, you're quicker. Here you go. You can take it. I don't want any problems.
Nothing wrong with that. I mean, over-defending and fighting with people that are outside of where you know your pace gap is going to be is just going to cost you potential positions on people that are in your pace gap. So, you know what? I like what Corne Strauss has done there. Let Wilkin past. He's an incredibly quick driver. Shouldn't have been down the field in the first place in terms of pace-wise. So, you know, let him through. This battle is not Strauss's to deal with, and can be somebody else's problem down the road. And that will be Daniel Rose to deal with as Charles Wilkin is let through and will continue down. We can see where that is going to get to, because of course Claessens, Rowe and McCall are in line of sight for Charles Wilkin now, and the action starting to heat up, even though track temperatures indicating that they're only 13 degrees. The action in the GT4 is making up for it, and Ryan, like you mentioned, they're very similar to their GT3 counterparts, but even more similar to their road-going real-life variants of the cars, and very much relatable to the general shapes of the cars. They don't have the over-exaggerated aerodynamic advantages and things like that. So it leads to this almost easy-to-follow racing. You don't have the bad air being chucked up all the time, and I really like the racing that the GT4 cars bring out. And you know, it goes to show as well that these guys can go and switch over from the GT3s to the GT4s and still have that same competitiveness in doing both, because they're very different cars to drive, and you can't drive them the same way.
No, it's very true, and you know, it's an interesting point that you make, George, about, you know, the comparison to the road-going cars, and you know how these are quite different to their GT3 counterparts. And you know, one of the great, it's a great quote that I heard. I can't remember who I heard it from, so apologies for forgetting it if anyone knows the name. But someone once said, "Faster cars create worse racing," and it doesn't sound like a great quote when you hear it. But when you look at it in practice, look at all of the most competitive series in the world racing-wise. They're some of the slower series. The slower cars, because they're easier to drive, as we can see Bruno Cadilli on the inside at the moment of Darren Peens. He's going to get that move done nice and tidy into Sunset. And it's one of those things, going back to my point, you know, it's so interesting with the GT4s, because you know, we kind of knew that the GT4 racing was going to be exciting, but I mean, you and I, George, we've commentated on some absolutely fantastic GT4 races that are arguably better than any of the GT3 races we've had the pleasure of commentating on.
I would not even argue the points. I think some of the best racing has definitely come out from these GT4 cars, and really appreciate the fact that Kunos brought it through. Stuart Andrews under a bit of a pressure situation from Johan Grobler, sorry, in the Audi behind him, and of course the TTH Audi trying to pressure Andrews into making those critical mistakes, braking deep, missing your apexes, running wide. All of those sorts of driving habits here at Kyalami just lose you so much time, and that's really where you get all your work done. It's, you know, there are overtaking opportunities for sure, but it really comes down to really being the driver, to pressure the driver in front of you into being slower through the course. And you know, in doing so, Johan Grobler is trying to get himself up the order. Arno Versace has made his way up through a couple of cars in the field, of course, after having his big scare off. We think it was him. I mean, it's the only livery that I think matches the scenario with him down the field like that. And he's making his way up the order, which is important for those critical race points. And of course, we only have 6 rounds in total for the season. So being on round 4 at the moment, knowing that you need to take as many points home as you can, is going to be mission critical. And I see a big change up coming through as Charles Wilkin has got past both Quaid Claessens and Junior McCall. So Quaid Claessens and Junior McCall down to 7th and 8th now, with Charles Wilkin putting pressure onto Daniel Rowe. So Daniel Rowe and Wilkin getting past the likes of, I wonder if Claessens and McCall perhaps had a battle coming down that led to them having to yield a couple of positions in it all, because now Strauss is on the trying around the outside of Crocodile onto the likes of Quaid Claessens. They are going to stay side by side coming up into Cheetah, And you'll see, wow, Cornet Strauss sticks it on the outside, manages to make the move happen. And that was a brilliant bit of brave driving coming through. You gotta, you know, try and make things work where they are. Claessens did well to keep it on the inside. He took a lot of that anti-cut curb that we talked about. Didn't get sent to NASA, but did get sent a couple of car lengths back.
That's how you assert dominance over a driver, isn't it? You overtake on a part of the track in which you typically cannot overtake on, or should never really be attempting to overtake on. And that's one of the things we talk about with the mental side of racing, and it's the same in real world racing as it is in sim racing. Having the mental edge over your opponent and pulling off moves like that, it damages you. And here we can see Bruno Cadili, he's chasing down Glashagen at the moment in the 28 Aston Martin. The Ginetta getting right onto the back of the Aston Martin. Bruno Cadili is going to be forced wide. And as I'm looking now at the moment, I can actually see Quade Claessen's getting back past Cornet Strauss. You can see that from on board Bruno Cadili's Ginetta. The visibility in this car, absolutely fantastic, by the way. And a great camera angle as well, as we can see them now on the run out of the S's and up towards Leeuwkop. Is Bruno Cadili going to have a look at the Aston Martin coming into the hairpin? He's going to have a look on the outside, not quite going to have the pace to do it. Can't use the switchback as we come into Mineshaft now. But Bruno Cadili definitely looking quicker than the Aston Martin in front.
Glashagen definitely not having the same pace levels, but doing a great job to play that defensive role, hold Bruno Cadili back, make him really fight for the positions. And we see that exit coming out of the Crocodiles, that Ginetta parked right underneath the back wing of the Aston Martin. Now down to Ingwe. They will go around the outside. Bruno Cadili will have a look later on the brakes. Glashagen doesn't try and defend it around there. He's defended the inside line, and that will allow Bruno Cadili past Darren Pience now, also with a good run coming out from the likes of Cheetah and Ingwe, also going to be in the slipstream now of Glashagen. Will he have a look coming down? Glashagen having a couple of positions taken off of him there, but needs to keep it together. Now it will be Cadili to chase down the likes of Strauss, as Quade Claessens has put in a couple of car lengths, so his defense on Strauss is not quite there. But now Strauss will be leading this little 4-car train that we see running down into Sunset. Look at the lighting. I love it. Cadili on the inside, going to send it for an inside move. I don't think Strauss wanted that position. He let him through. Cadili flashes lights to say thank you. And perhaps Glashagen feels that he's going to be afforded the same luxury as well. Strauss does look like he's going to give some space going around, but he is defending the inside exit for the S's and is going to force Glashagen to work it out here. Up to Leeuwkop they come. They will go side by side if they get late on the brakes, and Glashagen will. But inside line comes in, the cutback attempt coming through, and Glashagen with a lovely little switchback at the top of the hill will take the position off of Strauss and Pience. Now, again, we talked about capitalizing on other drivers' good pieces of driving and trying to do exactly just that. Keep that pressure on. Will Strauss leave the inside open? No, he won't. Forces him to go round the outside of the Crocodiles, and that will keep Pience at bay just for a little bit longer, Ryan.
Yeah, Cornet Strauss definitely thinking about the long game in terms of the championship and preserving a good result. Don't fight with those who are, you know, much quicker than you. It's not worth it. And, you know, I can respect that attitude. Some people don't like it, but when you're in a championship, you have to think of the long game. Even if you're not competing for the championship win or a podium place come the end of the season, if you want to get the best results possible, you have to think the long game. You can't, you know, you can't get your elbows out every time someone tries to pass you. And like you said, George, if it's someone who's out of your skill bracket, out of your pace region, it makes sense not to hold them up, let them pass. Don't risk getting involved in an incident if it means at the end of the race you'll walk away with a few more points, because come the end of the championship, it can mean so much more. And we've seen that as well. We've seen championships decided by, you know, 2-3 points, even 1 point. You know, and it can make such a difference. And some people think, well, you know, maybe some people don't care about that, but other people do. And, you know, I can respect the long game thinking here from Cornet Strauss.
Absolutely. You know, it's pick those battles where you want to take them, and brilliant bit of driving coming out from both Arno Visaki and Stuart Andrews at the moment, going side by side from the exit of Barbecue, and only now departing in doing so on the exit to the S's. But Visaki with the switch up wants to go alongside through the exit of Leeuwkop. Will try that switch up that we've seen all. Defensive driving from Andrews. He's put his car in the right place, has forced Visaki to have to dab onto those brakes, and that's going to impact the run down to Mineshaft for sure, and will force Visaki to work harder once again. And here's a battle that I want to see. This is Quade Claessens from ATK and Bruno Kadili from White Rabbit Gaming, two powerhouse sim racing teams fighting it out on track in the GT4s. And I respect both these drivers. I love to see what they do, and I can't wait to see how this battle continues. Currently, Quade Claessens holding down 8th place in his 1-2-4. Aston Martin, Kadili in that number 91, Janetta putting on the heat, trying to get his way past.
Yeah, and as someone with a British nationality as well, there's a bit of a manufacturer war going on here at the moment as well. Aston Martin, of course, being a British manufacturer, and Janetta as well. Janetta being an exclusive British manufacturer that haven't been owned by a company of any other nationality. Of course, Aston Martin famously were acquired by Ford at one point in time. They are now privately owned. And of course, both of these British manufacturers, there'll be a lot of pride in beating each other. And of course, that doesn't mean too much for the likes of Quade Claessens and Bruno Kadili. But for anyone who is a fan of Janetta and Aston Martin, it will definitely mean a lot to them, especially with how different these cars are. I mean, you think the Aston Martin GT4, it uses the exact same engine included in the V8 Aston Martin Vantage GT3. Of course, the little Janetta behind, pretty sure it has a Ford engine underneath that car. And, you know, this two very, very different cars, different sizes of cars, different scales on where they expect to be competing towards the front or back of the grid. But Bruno Kadili doing a fantastic job to make that Janetta get up towards the front of the grid. It's a shame Jason Absmeyer can't be racing here tonight. He's obviously had a disconnect problem as well. But yeah, it's definitely cool to see the Janettas competing up towards the front of the grid. We've seen that in the RCI GT4 Championship as well. I think it was Joe McCauley in the Janetta there who did a fantastic job with that car all season, despite the speed limitations that this car seems to have on the straights, as we're just over halfway into the race.
I mean, it's flown by. It felt like 5 minutes ago that we saw that green flag get dropped, and just like that, halfway into the sprint race session, 45 minutes of GT4 action for round 4 of the Raceface GT4 Season 1. Of course, brought to you by Resource Complete and Black Ribbon Sim. A big shout out to our partners for getting involved with the sim racing action. And if you guys are interested in making inquiries, please make sure that you reach out to Batters Hugo, the face behind Raceface, and the man that is really responsible for making all of these incredible streams avail or happen. He's put these leagues together, and I really can, not say too many great words about him. So just a massive thank you from myself, George, also known as G-Max to some, for all the hard work that is meticulously put into the background of making all of these racing streams happen, and of course all the hard work from the stewarding sides that keeps these drivers honest out on track, keeps them coming back for more. And you know what's great about it, Ryan, is that the likes of Raceface are always open to adjusting scenarios, and over the last couple of races there's been incidents of just unfair racing standards from a couple of drivers, and the crackdown has come in, the whip has been shone out, the stewards are here, and all the review side of things have been improved to a point now where hopefully drivers will also start to respect the stewarding decisions a little bit more and realize that there's some impactful situations that will happen from driving badly and negligently on track.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things, isn't it, that people don't understand entirely until they're on the back end, like we are, George. I mean, we do the commentary, but I myself at Racing Club International, I do a lot of media stuff. I do quite a bit of admin stuff, so I know the ins and outs of what goes into the back end and what happens before every race, all the preparation that goes into it. And then you see people doing, you know, unfair moves, and, you know, you see horrible accidents that shouldn't be happening. And you think to yourself, you know, do these guys, you know, how much do they understand? And like you said, you know, the stewarding, they've got way more strict on it, which is something I can definitely get behind. Obviously, there's, you know, there's levels to things, isn't there? You know, you've got to not be too strict, because then it takes away from, you know, people being able to do door-to-door racing. But, you know, you have to set down a line and say, look, this is not okay. And it's really, really good to see that that's happening. It's something that, you know, stewarding systems are always evolving. I think RCI have just rolled out our next version of our stewarding system and stuff, and it's always changing, it's always evolving. But like you said, you know, George, it's good to see them, you know, getting a bit stricter on stuff like this that probably should have been stricter at the start, but obviously you've got to make do, you know, with what you have and improve as you go on, and that's the best way to do it. And I think Bertus, you know, I've got to say a big thank you to him as well, you know, for allowing me to come on and commentate on lovely streams. As we can see, Bruno Cadilli getting all over the back of Quaid Claessens. He's still not got past the Aston Martin, but I don't think it's going to be too long until that Ginetta finds itself in front, George.
You say that now, but I'm not so sure that we can say that as confidently. It's like I said, it's a battle. It's a battle between two powerhouse teams, and the likes of Quaid Claessens and Bruno Cadilli, just two drivers that, for me, I love to see battle out on track. It's like seeing Jason Absmeyer and Bashir Jadwat from ATK fighting it out. You know, it's good racing from the drivers, and this is incredible to see. So I don't want to say just yet that that Ginetta is going to make its way past, and luckily for you, you don't have to pick a bias based on, you know, British manufacturers. You'll benefit either way, but for now, it's the viewers that really get a spectacle. Quaid just doing such a great job to keep Bruno back, not allow him any space and opportunity to get past, and there really is just no difference in pace between the two of them at the moment, and it's just what you want to see on track. Respectable racing coming down, and no spaces being opened up by Quaid Claessens, which means that you see Cadilli being forced to hang behind.
Yeah, Quaid Claessens is doing a fantastic job defensively, and you can see all the parts of the track where the Ginetta has an advantage over the Aston Martin. It is in, you know, the braking zones especially. This Ginetta, it can brake so much later than some of the other cars. Particularly, I think at tracks like Monza, I've seen the Ginetta braking 20-30 meters later sometimes than some of the other GT4 cars, and it's quite astonishing to see the difference between this car, and it's hard to believe it's in the same class. But nevertheless, Quaid Claessens is doing a fantastic job at the moment. He's putting his car exactly where it needs to be, and I've seen a lot of really good defensive drives from people in, you know, a lot of the races I've broadcasted. And this is definitely going to be going up there as one of them, because he knows exactly where to put the car. He's not weaving across the track. He's staying within all the guidelines that have been set about how you defend in a race. And it just seems to me that Bruno Cadilli may be getting a bit frustrated under the hood here, just knowing that that Aston Martin is just being put in exactly the right place that it needs to be put to defend. But I think these guys are probably going to be catching the likes of Junior McCall.
I'm so glad that you highlighted that. I mean, it was something that I wanted to say. It doesn't look like either driver, you know, Claessens or Cadilli, actually losing out on time in what they're doing out here. I mean, the defense is just being that clinical drive that's coming out, matching each other pace, you know, pace-wise, and that's opened up that availability now to McCall, which then perhaps works into Cadilli's hands, because Claessens then opens up that entry space, and we know that two cars side by side don't take the same entry speed or exit speed through a corner, and that might allow the little Ginetta some room to get in. So yes, this is what we wanted to see if we're White Rabbit Gaming fans, which you know, no bias, I am a little bit of a White Rabbit Gaming fanboy myself. Of course, that's my team, and you know, both Jason Absmeyer and Bruno Cadilli driving in the team, Jason having an unfortunate disconnect, so Bruno representing out there, and it is going to be such a cool battle to see what happens, because Junior McCall, he's an ATK driver as well from the academy side of things. He's just, I think he's 13 years young. He's incredibly talented and been picked up by ATK. which again goes along with what I want to see in the scene. I want to see more big teams getting involved, picking up drivers, and making this into something that we can have out on track. And you know what? It doesn't even matter if you're not part of a big team. There's guys that are forming teams out here, and they're building up their own reputation, and they've got their own unique identifiers. Gedili now alongside Claessens, because McCall is there. 3 cars wide. They are going to go down into Crowthorne. The cut is here from Gedili potentially. McCall is there as well. 3 cars wide they go, but they slot back into train formation through Yuxke's sweep. Now into Barbecue. McCall leads the way. He's under pressure from Claessens in that 1-2-4 Aston Martin, and Gedili, he's just desperately trying to hang on to this. He knows that Claessens here is going to try and make a move onto the likes of McCall. He does not want to get sandwiched out and not be able to keep that attack onto the likes of Claessens, but just look how difficult it is to get moves done here. Defensive goes McCall through the exit of Clubhouse and on the way to the S's. It might be on here, but it's not a place that you can get a move done. It's very wide from McCall. He's made a big mistake, and that's allowed Gedili and Claessens through. But Gedili with the drive coming up to Leeuwkop. He's going to be on the outside of the likes of Claessens, and he's going to break later coming down. So I'm going to jump back 10 seconds here just to see the exit to the S's. The Janetta just had the legs to do so. Late on the brakes, inside line coming in from Gedili, and now we just wait to see the response from Quade Claessens.
I did mention it before, how much later the Janetta can go on the brakes, and Quade Claessens has gone wide. He's missed his braking point coming into the Crocodiles, and that's going to allow Bruno Gedili a bit of breathing room now once he's got that overtake done. You could feel, couldn't it? You could feel, you know, the desperation from Quade Claessens. He wanted to get past McCall. He knew he was going to get held up. He knew Gedili would have a chance to get past him if he got stuck behind the Mercedes. It played out exactly as such, and Bruno Gedili just capitalizing on an incredible, you know, situation. And that's one of the things that you talk about when, you know, you talk about good racers and good racing drivers, people that get the most out of a race, and that's one of those performances that you see there. One of the moves, you take advantage of someone else's unfortunate situation, as we're looking at Darren Peens here. He's going to be side by side with Van Coller in the BMW. They're going to go up towards Barbecue right now, and I think the BMW is going to be ahead. Yes, he is. And the BMW moves up into 10th place. We have 2 M4s in the top 10 now, but Peens is not going to be keen on letting that BMW stay in front for long.
And just in the background of that shot would be Glasshagen and the likes of Krobler. They're still fighting it out. So this little 4-car train all in 4th position, and either driver making a mistake will lose a couple of positions in doing so. And in the background of that shot, we still see the likes of Arno Versace and Corne Strauss. Strauss having bled a couple of positions down to 15th place. So obviously having an incident that he's now trying to recover on. But Glasshagen with the charge towards Peens in that 171 Cayman, trying to put the pressure on. A stop-go penalty for De Beer needing to be served down. We see that on our timing sheet as well, just as an update there. I'm not quite sure what that one is for. I know that we get a little pop-up update, but I'm not sure if that was for perhaps speeding in the pits, or if there's a live steward inquiry that's gone down either. So potentially just a speeding in the pit lane infringement coming down, and this little battle going down. Bancala did a great job to pass Peens through the Yuxke sweep. You know, we saw him go side by side into Crowthorne, and the Yuxke sweep is one of those corners that narrows itself out because of the nature of really the way that the racetrack goes with the curvature there. Peens now under attack from Glasshagen. Glasshagen on the outside of Crowthorne. Peens wants the inside line, must be careful not to run deep and allow the cutback opportunity for that Aston Martin. Does a good job at doing so, but that white and blue Aston Martin putting on all the pressure, as does the number 15 TTH Audi in the background of the shots, and that's Arno Versace with his M4 leading his way up as well. So this is just an incredible battle coming down, all for position. It looks like Versace on the outside of Piens is going to try and make it stick, going to run wide on the exit of Sunset, going to have the inside coming down for Clubhouse. Are they alongside enough for them to get through cleanly? They stay alongside in the background of this camera shot. Just incredible racing coming down into the S's. Versace will throw it. Piens will have the inside line to the exit if you can keep it side by side, but it's all about managing that exit, and Versace's done just that.
Yeah, really, really good move from Versace there. Of course, it's a recovery race for him at the moment, as we can see. Is that Grobler ahead in the Audi? Yes, it is. He's getting past the Aston Martin of Glashagen. So the Audi making his way up into 11th place. So very, very well done there from Johan Grobler. He's managed to get himself further up the order. And, oh, I've just on the live images, I've just seen both of them actually go wide, in fact. But we're looking at the replay right now, and you can see that move on the outside of Leeuwkop has the pace.
Oh, that is
Aston Martin.
I mean, that is an overtake move to save to your books for sure. Around the outside, normally if you go wide into the start of Leeuwkop, you then cut it back into the sort of cutback maneuver. To stick it the whole way around the outside was a good bit of driving, but like you said, having thrown that all away now after the fact of the replay, they've dropped back down the order. Strauss and Versace have benefited from it indeed. Glashagen almost up into the top 10, Van Coller into the top 10, and it really is just a great race so far. So going to run us through the order as things stand, because Morgan McCall has not had much screen time here at all. Keegan Masters has not been able to really stick it to this man. He leads by 2.3 seconds, which is not an incredibly big gap, so don't discount the drive coming out from the likes of Masters. But it has been a great drive so far for the ATK Academy, older brother of the McCalls, so both brothers driving here, Junior the younger brother. And a good showing coming out from Morgan here at this point in time. 8 minutes left to go of the race. Keegan Masters holds down second place in his Aston Martin, that number 18. And then JC Grobler from Retro Sim Rainbow in that number 34 in third place on the podium position spot, the last one available for him. Charles Wilkin, he's made his way through the field. Look at that, sits in fourth place, the number 25 AMR, doing a great job to start down the order and make his way back well within the top 5. Johannes Grayling will round out the top 5 for Retro Sim Slipstream. So of course, Retro Sim, one of those other teams that I talk about that doesn't have, it's not a big esports org that's come out, but they've put together a little package. They've got drivers, they've got liveries, they've got what they need to have, and that's really what you want to have. So Retro Sim getting themselves up there, representing out there. Johannes Grayling doing a great job in that number 16. Daniel Rowe in the Dr. Racecoach Porsche, the number 4, sitting in 6th place. Under pressure from Bruno Kedili, not quite the pressure that we've seen Kedili put on people before, so Daniel Rowe might be the next victim for Kedili to deal with. And Kedili currently sitting in 7th place for White Rabbit Gaming in his number 91 Janetta. Quade Claessens for ATK Racing, the number 124 Aston Martin in 8th place. Junior McCall for the ATK Academy in the number 144 in 9th place. And Richard van Coller rounds out the top 10 for Sandbag Racing in the number 99 BMW M4. Kurt Glashagen in 11th, Versace 12th, Strauss 13th, Piens in 14th, Grobler 15th, De Blanche in 16th, Mark Antel in 17th, Stuart Andrews in 18th, Nathan LaRue in 18th position, Ryan Ottens in 19th, De Beer in 19th, and Deploy in 20th place. Schutter in 20th place. So that rounds out our full running order. Still 6 minutes left of racing. Daniel Rowe and Bruno Kedili are our closest battle on track, followed up by, I believe nobody else is quite as close as these two, Ryan.
Yeah, the closest battle after these guys is actually 11th place, in fact. It's Glashagen, Visahi, and Strauss, all within 1.2 seconds of each other. But of course, this is the most likely move on track at the moment. Bruno Cadili in the Ginetta number 91 for White Rabbit Gaming. It's following the Porsche in the Cayman here. And have to say, lovely little car, that Cayman. The Ginetta as well, one of the other, well, the smallest car on the grid, I think, alongside the Alpine. And no Alpines representing tonight. Kind of a shame to see. That's been one of the surprise packages of the GT4 pack as well. There's been a few surprise packages, to be honest. But Bruno Cadili doing well here in the Ginetta. Just closing in onto the back of that Porsche. Daniel Rowe will be hoping he can see out the next 5 minutes of this race. This is when things start getting a bit twitchy now. You start feeling the pressure. You need to start defending hard. But Bruno Cadili is going to be pushing him all the way up the hill here. He's going to have the inside line. The Ginetta breaks so much later than the Cayman going up the hill. And he's got the move on the inside. Very, very nicely done from Bruno Cadili.
We thought it was going to line itself up there, but it's not yet done for the likes of Rowe. Cadili running very wide, getting squeezed down into the inside line. And Rowe now trying to cut back through Crocodile, putting the pressure on. On the flashes goes Rowe. He's upset about it, or he knows that he wants to put the pressure on. We know that there are different stages for flashing lights. They all look the same, but they get used in different procedures. And Rowe here will be trying to fight back. 4 minutes left to do so if he's got the opportunity to find some space. And Cadili will get himself up into 6th place. Going down to the battle that you talked about as well on track would be Glashagen defending against the likes of Visahi in that number 94 BMW. And we see Strauss in that number 55 AMG coming round the exit of Ingwer as well. So potentially opportunity here for Strauss to jump himself up if the likes of Glashagen and Visahi make any mistakes. But for now, the battle and the chase down will continue. Glashagen leads them away.
Yeah, Glashagen will be hoping that he can lock down this position now, but of course Visahi has been cutting his way up through the grid ever since he had that accident at turn 2, went flying over the front of, I think it was...
Junior McCall and Quade Clausen.
Yeah, it was McCall and Clausen, Quade Clausen's, yeah. He's obviously just trying to work his way as high up as he can through the grid. Corne Strauss getting a bit frustrated behind the likes of Visahi as well. I wonder if Strauss is also quicker than the likes of Glashagen, and, you know, with Visahi maybe being held up, Strauss is starting to get a bit frustrated as well. This is one of those things that you do see happen in racing, of course. If someone is slow and, you know, they're kind of in the way a bit. I just saw Visahi go a bit wide coming out of Liucot, and that's compromised his exit a bit. He's not going to be close enough for a move, and you can actually just see here in the replay, he wasn't really on the optimal line. Strauss had to go a bit wide there. Wasn't exactly expecting Visahi to kind of go deep into Liucot, but now we come through Cheetah, Glashagen. You can see the back of his car. We're on board on the front splitter of the BMW M4. This is a great camera angle, by the way. You get to see all the textures of the track, the curbs. You really get a feel for the speed that these cars go. Yes, they're GT4s. Yes, they're not as quick as a GT3, but these are still really, really quick cars. You can't underestimate them. And as we come into turn 2, braking zone of Crowthorne, still going to stay as it was, but I have to say, if anything, Strauss is looking more likely to make an overtake than Visahi is right now.
Strauss is putting on so much pressure, and onto the inside through Barbecue they go. They might go 3 cars wide here, Ryan, because the exit hasn't been great. Visahi going to move himself over to defend the inside line. Both of them are getting past Glashagen, so that's going to allow Strauss to still hold on to the back end of Visahi. So good work coming out from both Visahi and Strauss there to really capitalize on that slight mistake we saw on the exit of the Uxke sweep from Glashagen, and that's allowed Visachi now to bump his way up. But Strauss now in that sandwich, he's going to both defend against Glashagen and try and attack against the likes of Visachi. 48 seconds on the clock. I wanted to just say that we probably have Morgan McCall going to start his final lap, which we get confirmation of, in fact. So he will begin his final lap. I'll ask you, Ryan, to keep your eye on them so that we can continue to just follow the battle here between Visachi, Strauss, and Glashagen for a little bit longer to see if anything happens down into this very tight, twisty final section. Deep into Crocodile they go, and it's a little train exit that we see coming out. No one wanting to compromise the line. They know that if you step a toe out of line, you lose so much time coming down into Engwe. Strauss going to try get late on the brakes around the outside, try and get himself as close as possible to the likes of Visachi, sit inside the slipstream if he can. And Strauss now down the start finish straight through the kink they go. He's not quite there again to be able to have a look. We know that the drive from those BMWs is big when it comes to that straight line speed, and perhaps that's where we see it holding off the likes of Strauss.
Yeah, the straight line speed of the BMW very well documented, but I have to say the all-rounder that is the AMG GT4 Mercedes, it just seems to be one of the best picks of the GT4 bunch, and Morgan McCall has driven his AMG to perfection here today. He was under a bit of pressure at the start from Keegan Masters, but he has held him off, and he will come into Engwe for the final time to round the corner, and he will be the winner here at Kyalami. He will extend his lead at the top of the championship, and it's a well-deserved win for Morgan McCall today. He'll do some nice drifts over the line just to show off the style.
Indeed he will, and that means that Keegan Masters will finish in second place as he crosses the line. JC Grobler will take home a third place on the podium. Charles Wilkin will cross the line in fourth place in the number 25. Johannes Grayling will take home fifth. Bruno Kadili, sixth place for Kadili, gets past and holds off the likes of Rowe for seventh, but it's a quick close finish between Kadili, Rowe, and Claessens, who takes home eighth. Junior McCall with a great drive as well, coming out, finishing ninth, and Richard van Kalle from Sandbag Racing will cross the line to round out the top 10, put a second BMW onto that manufacturer leaderboard. And to be honest, it was a great race from all these GT4 drivers. I'll pull up the timing split before we end out the race. And again, Ryan, what a great race in GT4s.
Yeah, these GT4 cars have not disappointed, have they, racing-wise? I mean, the quality of racing is always so phenomenal here, and with so many question marks over these cars coming into the series, it was, you know, uncertain as to whether people would like them, if people would race them, if the racing would be good. You know, I get the feeling that pretty much all of those questions were answered in the first week, but I have to say now, a few weeks down the line since GT4 has been out, and all the races I've had the pleasure of commentating on with the GT4 cars, oh boy, have they delivered. And I have to say the future of ACC with these cars and the GT3s and whatever else is potentially to come is looking pretty bright.
I absolutely agree, Ryan, and I just want to thank you for joining me this evening. It's been an incredible race. I love having you with me when we get to do some broadcasting together. So from myself and the whole of the Raceface crew, thanks for joining in the commentary booth. Guys, if you enjoyed what you saw here, same time, same place tomorrow. We come back to Kyalami for the GT3s. It will be the Raceface Season 3 Round 4 in the GT3 series. We'll be back here again on the Raceface channel. Thank you so much for joining us. And a big shout out to our partners, of course, Resource Complete and Black Ribbon Sim, for making all of this possible.